Unbeknownst to me, what started off as a perfectly natural day was going to take an unnatural turn and event shortly after work. I work from 5 in the afternoon to 1 in the morning. Sometimes I get out sooner, but 5 to 1 is my shift. It hadn't been a rough day. In fact, it was quite simple. Working fast food has taken its toll on me, but what I saw was not my imagination. So, as I got out onto the sofa that I use as a bed, since my bedroom is far too small for a bed, I plopped down quite roughly, sending a jolt through my spine and a startle through the thing standing 5 feet away from me, showing as only a silhouette in the dark. I froze instantly, knowing that my roommate and I never locked our doors. I figured it was a human. I always sleep with knives beside my bed, but they wouldn't help me if I was frozen solid. I had miraculously gained enough curiosity throughout my fear to shine my phone's light on the subject, but once I managed to point the light where the subject was, it was already gone. Night 2. Coming home from work once more, tired as all heck, I went straight to my room and attempted to fall asleep. However, 30 minutes later, my roommate turned off his Xbox to sleep as well, and for the first time ever, I heard him scream in fear. Not some ordinary scream, though. The noise he made was so blood-curdling that I literally pissed myself trying to contain my own fear. From being the kind of person that doesn't enjoy confrontation, I stayed in my bed, praying to God that he didn't call me into his room to help him. Sadly, and to my dismay, that is exactly what he did. The words he chose were, "Dusk, help me get this creature out of our house." The term creature worried me. Was what I saw not human? Being the submissive person that I am, I unwillingly went to aid him, but as I entered his room to see the creature, as I was sure my roommate had, it had already vanished. Night 3. I had off of this day, something I can only say 3 days a week. This may sound like a lot to some, but as I said, working fast food has taken a toll on me. I didn't want to wake up, but I had no other choice. I was summoned by my female best friend, Tori. As I got out of bed, I noticed a sort of etching on the door of my closet. The closet door remains slightly open, so if I don't look in a certain angle, I can't see the front of the door. The etching looked like it was written by human blood, the marking being 2 lines facing diagonally towards each other, making an oddly shaped X, and through the X was what appeared to be a lowercase I. I thought little of the fact that it was written in blood, until right after looking at it, I noticed my hand had jumped onto my stomach, where huge claw marks could have been felt through my shirt. I quickly ran to the bathroom to wash the wound, and saw the same X, but this time with 2 eyes inside of the X. I was worried my roommate was clawed too, but I had to leave to hang out with Tori, and it was quite a walk to get there. Also, if my roommate were clawed, he'd have told me later anyway. I spent the entire time hanging out with Tori thinking about what the creature my roommate and I had been cursed with the presence of was. It hadn't crossed my mind that Tori was spiritually adept. As the day had reached its conclusion, I walked back to home to see the same X with 3 lowercase i's had somehow ended up on the outside of our house's front door. I looked around the surrounding area to see nothing out of place. Once I entered my house, however, I noticed my living room was trashed, and my roommate had passed out on the floor with no shirt on, showing similar claw marks to mine. Night 4. I woke up at 2 p.m., something I had started recently as a routine to get dressed for work to go out to eat. Once I entered my living room, I noticed my roommate was still passed out, barely breathing on the floor. Generally, I would ignore his existence, but if there were a slight chance he was dying, I had a moral obligation to attempt rescuing him. As I kneeled to his side, I touched his neck to check for a pulse, and he jumped up, screamed that same scream once more, and batted my hand from his face. Teary-eyed and teeth clenched, my roommate told me, "The Bentleg creature wants us to leave." I looked deeply into his damp-eyed eyes, seeing the truest face of fear I'd ever seen, nodded in understanding, and helped him to his feet. My roommate sat on his chair and froze until I left, and then I had no idea what he did. After work I came home to a near-spotless house. My roommate was standing over the sink doing dishes. I was happy to see he'd managed to let his state of shock pass. But as he turned towards me smiling, I saw a 4th X with 4 lowercase i's etched onto his face. "Bentleg has grown impatient," were the last words my roommate ever said before his shock had come back. Night 5. I was off again today, and I was not willing to spend one more night in that house. I asked Tori if I could spend a while at their place, and thankfully they said yes. I packed all of my stuff that I could carry, and left the house of nightmares behind me, seeing a leathery skinned creature with teeth in crabwalk position, but his feet and head were backwards, watching me in the woods behind my house as I passed.